In this video, we're going to find three fractions that are equivalent to 2/3. In my last video, I showed you how we can find equivalent fractions when we draw a picture. We saw that 1/2 was equivalent to 2/4, which was also equivalent to 4/8. And you can see that each of these amounts is worth the same amounts, even though the numerator and denominators are different. So how can we find fractions that are equivalent without drawing a picture? Well, the first thing that I want you to do is I want you to think about the number 1 when we're working with fractions. What is another way to write the number 1 as a fraction? Well, some of you might say 1/1, and that's right. You might also say, well, I know that 2/2 is equal to 1. And that's true as well. And what about 3/3 being equal to 1? That's true. And even 5/5 is equal to 1. Notice how when your numerator and your denominator are the same, it's equal to 1. And that's true for any fraction. As long as the numerator and denominator are the same, you're really multiplying by 1. So if I take 2/3 and I multiply it by 1, what is my answer going to be? It's going to be 2/3. It's going to be the exact same amount. Because whenever we multiply by 1, we get the same answer. So let's apply that to fractions and look what happens when I multiply my fraction by 1 but using a fraction. So for example, I'm going to take 2/3 and I'm going to multiply 2/3 times 2/2. Now remember, 2/2, because the numerator and denominator are the same, is really equal to 1. So when I do this, it's okay because I'm really multiplying 2/3 times 1, which is going to give me 2/3. But 2 times 2 is 4, and 3 times 2 is 6. So I get 4/6 as my fraction, but I know that it's equivalent to 2/3 because I multiplied by 1. So they're worth the same amount. So that means that 2/3 is equivalent or equal to 4/6. That means that they're worth the same amount even though the numerators and denominators are different. And that works because I really just multiplied by the number 1 because my numerator and denominator were the same. Okay? And we can do that over and over and over again so many times. So I can take 2/3 again, and I can again think of another fraction that's equal to 1. It could be 3/3, it could be 4/4, it could be 5/5. Let's take 5/5. 5/5, remember, is equal to 1 because the numerator and denominator are the same. So 2 times 5 is 10, and 3 times 5 is 15. That means that 2/3 and 4/6 are also equivalent to 10/15. And we can even do it one more time or 50 more times, however many times you'd like. We're going to take 2/3 again, and this time let's multiply it by another set of numbers, another fraction that's equal to 1. This time I'm going to choose 10, and I'm going to do 10/10. As long as my numerator and denominator are the same, I'm good. So 2 times 10 is 20, and 3 times 10 is 30. So these fractions are also equivalent to 20/30. And it's really kind of cool when you look at the numbers because we know that these are all equivalent. And look what happens. 10 times 2 is 20. 15 times 2 is 30. So again, if we multiply the numerator and denominator by the same number, we're going to get an equivalent fraction. So just a kind of a neat way for you to think of equivalent fractions. Remember that as long as you multiply your fraction by another fraction where the numerator and denominator are the same, you will have an equivalent fraction because you're really multiplying by the number 1.